Which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against Doge. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon scab within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk.
If you thought things couldn't get worse for the Democrats, well, think again. Their resistance has taken a musical turn as Hakeem Jeffries, Walmart Obama, basically starts rapping at a protest, and then the protest erupts in this civil rights era fight the power hymn. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but let's start with this embarrassing protest where a whole bunch of angry old Democrats give us the most tone-deaf, ear-screeching protest song we've ever heard. Watch.
Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against Doge. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon scab within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Trump's coming for our unions. He wants us all to fail. He wants us to bow to him, but we want him in jail. Oh, which side are you on?
So the Democrats have already admitted there is absolutely nothing that they can do to fight the agenda, so they've decided to go down the self-flagellation route. Instead of bulldozing their entire party and rebuilding from the ground up, which is what they should be doing, they're too afraid of fading into obscurity, and they're so desperate to stay relevant that they keep engaging in these performative public acts and don't even realize it's causing even more damage to their already destroyed brand. They act like they're marching in Selma for civil rights when all they're doing is protesting in favor of politicians continuing to enrich themselves on the backs of our tax dollars and bankrupting the country in the process. Instead of proposing a better strategy or a different strategy than the Republicans on how to clean up this waste, they're just choosing to fight for the waste to continue. And that theme of hypocrisy just continues throughout this entire video as Walmart Obama shows up and engages in the musical environment and basically spits a rap for the protest about how they're gonna fight Trump and Elon Musk.
To make it clear that the attack on you, the attack on the civil service is unacceptable, unconscionable, un-American, and we are going to stand with you until each and every one of those unlawful executive orders are fully and completely reversed. And so I stand here today not just as a member of Congress, but as a member of your family, the family of public employees who serve this country well. You should be respected, not rejected. You should be lifted up, not torn down. You should be embraced, not discarded. And we will stand with you until you get the dignity and respect that you deserve.
I mean, Democrats won't prevail? They should all be in jail. They got us into this mess. Trump and Doge will do the rest. I mean, these people are so inauthentic. They're like characters on a movie. I mean, I could hear the exact same thing coming out of Kamala Harris's mouth. The people have spoken. We don't want to be talked to in these rhymey, scripted, performative ways that are just full of platitudes and empty words. People like Trump because he's authentic. He says it how it is. And yeah, sure, he's going to say some things you don't always agree with, but that's every single person. And Democrats don't like that because they're so used to their politicians just speaking to them in a lying, diplomatic tone. They would rather be lied to in a polite way than hearing a guy tell his opinion and sometimes you don't agree with it. And everybody knows it's a stunt because, as I covered in my video yesterday, Hakeem Jeffries literally said out loud and admitted they have no leverage, they don't know what they can do, and they can't do anything. So him trying to channel Tupac Shakur and rap about how they're going to fight the power is just a bunch of meaningless fluff. And the entire Democrat Party knows it. That's why there is outrage right now calling for Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries to both resign because the Democrats actually want people who are going to fight. I think it's a stupid strategy for sure. It's definitely a losing strategy, but it's what they want. I tweeted on X that if this musical theater is what they're calling the resistance, then I want more resistance from the Democrats. So the other strategy Democrats are going with, besides embarrassing out-of-tune musical performances, is their party favorite blatantly lying. So here's a Democrat congresswoman going on MSNBC and claiming that Doge is cutting cancer research. Watch.
The Democratic attorney generals, the Democratic governors across the country is to lead this fight. But it was unbelievable to me that just on Friday we find out they're going to actually start cutting the funding on cancer trials. I don't think it gets more mean-spirited than this. And you ask why they're doing it? Well, they're about to launch their case to literally give over $2 trillion in tax breaks to the wealthiest. I'm not talking here about the middle-class tax cuts. I'm talking about the ones for the wealthiest. So they're looking for money anywhere they can find it, whether it be Head Start or cancer trials.
The funny thing is, not only is she blatantly lying, and I'll explain that in a second, but they've already tried this before. When they said that Republicans were cutting pediatric cancer research from the bill to keep Congress open. And then it was exposed that that same standalone bill was approved by the Republican House in March of last year, and the Democrats didn't vote on it. So now they're trying it again and saying that Doge is going after the National Institute of Health and trying to cut cancer research. Well, here's what actually happened, right? And listen closely because this is shocking. When governments or nonprofits or institutions fund medical research, there's two parts. There's the direct cost involved with the research, and then there's the indirect costs. So administrative staff, rent, overhead, things like that. Well, the federal government allows for 70% of all the money that they give for this research to be spent on indirect costs. That means 70 cents of every dollar for medical research is not going to medical research. Now, okay, I'm not a scientist. You're probably not a scientist either. Maybe that's just what goes into developing medicine. Well, let's take a look at the other global leaders who fund this kind of research. The Bill Gates Foundation, private universities, those kind of things, right? Well, it turns out they only allow 15% of the money being given to be used on indirect costs. So someone's lying here. Either all funded work by private institutions can't get done because you really need 70 cents of every dollar going to things that have nothing to do with the research, or federal governments are allowing over 4 times as much of the money to go to indirect costs so people can get their kickbacks and politicians can get paid. Well, who do I trust more? The private market, where people voluntarily donate to these causes and care about their money being spent appropriately? Or the federal government, which is known for writing blank checks and being corrupt to the bone? So all Trump did was match what the federal government allows for indirect costs to match what global private institutions do. And now they're screaming that Trump is trying to cut cancer research. So what's the point of these private institutions then, if what they're allowing to be spent on indirect costs is 4 times less than what is supposedly needed? The Democrats act like it's 2001 and they can just stroll on to mainstream media, declare something to be fact, set a narrative, and people are unable to verify if that's actually true. But we see that it's not true so clearly every day from credible sources. So their strategy of just trying to lie to set a false narrative makes them look even worse. Now, Chuck Schumer comes out and engages in the third losing strategy that Democrats are choosing, which is, we agree that waste should be cut from the government, but only in a way that we like.
The bottom line is simple. Everyone knows there's waste in government and should be cut, but Doge is using a meat axe, and they're cutting things that are efficient and effective. I was in Albany and Syracuse on Monday talking at community health centers. Many of them have had their funds cut temporarily, some even hasn't been restored yet. And they're the most efficient healthcare providers around. Take AID. Maybe there's some programs they don't like, but most people agree that PEPFAR was extremely effective and cost effective. Most people would want to see us continue our fight in Central Africa against Ebola so it doesn't come here. And so the bottom line is very simple, okay? If you want to make cuts, then you do it through a debate in Congress, not lawlessly by just implementing it.
We know this is true for two reasons. One, they didn't care about cutting government waste as they ran up the deficit the past 4 years and engage in all of these radically woke government policies like DEI initiatives in Serbia. And two, because they're not even advocating for, let's let Elon Musk see what he finds in all of these government agencies, and then we can have a discussion about it in Congress. They're trying to block him entirely from even looking at what the money is being spent on. They're trying to block Trump from curtailing any of this wasteful spending in the interim while they investigate where this money is actually going. And that's what's so dangerous about these liberal activist judges trying to block the legitimate power of the president. The judge who blocked Elon Musk from accessing Treasury information didn't just block Elon Musk, he blocked all Trump appointees, saying that only career civil servants can have access to this. That includes Trump's appointed Secretary of the Treasury. So if the duly elected president and his appointees have no power to do anything and it's all up to civil servants, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy. And that's what the American people voted against, because we all know that's how it is. That's what the Biden administration was. A whole bunch of unelected bureaucrats making high-level decisions and running the government. The president's job is to appoint people to run these agencies on behalf of his agenda that the people voted for. That's why when the Democrats scream constitutional crisis, they're right. And like every other time the Democrats lobby some sort of insult, they're actually talking about themselves. Let's watch a clip of Jen Psaki and AOC last year saying that Biden should defy the Supreme Court.
There has been thought, I believe, given to this. Senator Ron Wyden has already issued statements, for example, advising what we should do in a situation like this, which I concur, which is that I believe that the Biden administration should ignore this ruling. I think that the courts have the legitimacy and they rely on the legitimacy of their rulings. And what they are currently doing is engaged in an unprecedented and dramatic erosion of the legitimacy of the court.
And again, it's worth repeating, a judge has never overruled the FDA on these grounds. There are some members of Congress who have suggested that President Biden and other leaders should ignore the ruling. I certainly understand the sentiment, but do you think that is a viable path forward?
Democrats think we have the memory of a gnat, that we don't remember all of the things they were doing, all of the things that they were saying, advocating for lawlessness. They act like if we don't agree with these unconstitutional orders from these activist judges, that somehow we don't believe in the rule of law, but fail to acknowledge that when Trump was running for president, the Supreme Court of Colorado enacted an unconstitutional law to remove Trump from the election ballot, which got overturned unanimously by the Supreme Court. So yes, Democrat judges have a history of overstepping in the most ridiculous ways. But now we're supposed to just blindly trust that their rulings are fair and lawful. And here is Scott Jennings reminding the CNN panel that when the Supreme Court said that Biden couldn't cancel student loan debt, he did it anyway.
Should the president,
the
singular president, should he have to share the presidency with 300 district court judges? No, absolutely not.
But the point, though, you made a really good point that there have been judges that shut down some of President Biden's executive actions, and they understand, the Biden administration understood the checks and balances.
The Supreme Court tried to stop me, but they never will.
But not in the way that Donald Trump is.
Who said that? Joe Biden.
Yeah,
Joe Biden.
But Donald Trump, he actually didn't ignore it.
He did. They continued to plow forward with student
aid.
How much did they spend?
Let me set the record.
He actually got deep into
I hated the student loan forgiveness policy.
What did he say out loud?
I thought it was a ridiculous policy. I thought it was unconstitutional. I predicted it would get struck down. It did get struck down, and I applauded. He did not ignore it, though. He went and tried under a different law.
So he ignored it.
You're allowed. No,
that's not ignoring it.
That's not ignoring it. It's trying to do it.
The Dems are mad, and I am glad. They shall never win ever again. This is what I predict is going to happen. If there's any people left on the Democrat side who have any common sense and want to get things done, they are going to move over to the Republican Party over these 4 years. And all the Democrats are going to have left are their blue-haired lunatics who are furious with them right now because they don't like the way that they're fighting Trump's agenda. So these blue-haired lunatics are going to elect representatives who are even more hell-bent on fighting an America First agenda. They're going to elect politicians who keep advocating for these radical and unpopular policies and these woke progressive cultural stances. And they're going to become such a minority party that they will never again have the numbers to even compete in an election. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.